Hey guys, how's it going? I am back with that video that I promised about how we do our meal plans and how that's working with our budget and how I have worked to reduce our budget to $300 a week for our family of 9 and actually keeping it under that budget on average. So, what I want to show you, guys, I don't do anything sophisticated. I don't do anything special. I have friends who do like a full month planner and everything is down to the absolute day. I don't do that. I need something that's a little more practical for our family because, well, sometimes I like to think that we don't do a whole lot. We're actually pretty busy a lot of the time. So I have to get creative. I need things to be fluid. So I can't really have for us as very set, like everything happens on this day all the time. I have to have some flexibility. So what I do instead is each week, actually I'll show you my notebook here in a sec to give you an example, but each week I come up with 6 meals. Now, I'll explain the 6 in a minute too, but I come up with 6 different meals that I can easily make throughout the week. And I try to make at least 2 of those really good, like full quality meals. At least 1 to 2 of those are going to be fast, easy. I can do this on the fly, but it's still a home cooked meal. And then the other 2 are somewhere in between. Now, the reason I write down 6 meals is because Wednesdays in general are crazy for us because I have a group that I partake in Wednesday mornings. I come home almost lunchtime, and then we've got a couple hours where I work on schoolwork and stuff, and then we have to leave for church. So, there's very limited time, and if I didn't prep enough stuff, then, sorry, I'm also looking at my notebook. If I didn't prep enough stuff, I don't have anything. Now, there are sometimes I will have some stuff made on Wednesdays, but I just plan for 6 days because if it's not going to be Wednesday, there's going to be at least 1 day each week. We have so many leftovers that need to be eaten, or I just don't feel like cooking. So why write down 7 meals if I know we're not going to do that? Okay, that's my first trick. We have yet to go hungry. Yes, in the past, we have used a lot of freezer foods and convenience foods. That is dwindling down, much to the chagrin of my 7-year-old, but he's getting used to it as well. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys this, and I'm going to walk you through why it looks the way it does. So, I'm going to back up here. I have this divided between 3 weeks. 6 meals on each week. Now, you can see I've only got 5 on this week so far and 5 on this week. This is actually this current week. This was technically the week that ends today. This is the following week. As you can see, it says Christmas week. And then in parentheses, I put Wednesday because Christmas is on Wednesday. So I have to adjust our meal plan that way. Okay, which actually you can even see what we're having for Christmas dinner. We are having burgers on Christmas Day with stuffing and branding potatoes. Guys, nobody ever said we do things super traditional. I'm going to be a little sad to miss the turkey this year, but it's something my mother and I agreed to, and it's working out great for everybody. Okay, so backing up, in this week, so obviously there are 3 meals that did not happen. Now, the stromboli was supposed to happen today. I am the person who forgot to pull out the frozen bread dough this morning so that it could thaw, so we couldn't have it tonight. So I had to rearrange things just a little bit and get creative. That's also why I keep certain things on hand all the time, just in case, because it never fails. Okay. Now on this line, you're going to see over here, page 215. Now there's a video I did recently about my favorite cookbook. If you see page numbers in there, chances are it's coming from that cookbook. If it's a different book, I'm going to usually write that on there so I know which one to grab it from. So you can see there are 2 recipes for this last week that were coming out of that book. Now, because the stromboli didn't happen, I've got that there. Now, for the stromboli, there are a couple of ingredients, including bell peppers, that are going to go bad in my fridge if I don't get them used. So that's why I never completely fill in the 6 days too far ahead of time. Because if I've got a meal I have to push down, that's exactly what I do. So I'm going to take the stromboli and I'm going to put it down there. Now, as for the shepherd's pie and the stew meat potato soup stew, it's actually a dish I make that the kids absolutely love. All of the ingredients for either of those meals are either frozen or I've got in the pantry somewhere. That's something that, I can make it anytime. So the fact that I didn't get to them, great. That's actually how I prioritize as well. So as I go through the week, I'm going to look at my list each day and be like, okay, well, today's, a really easy day here at home. I'm going to go ahead and make one of the more involved meals. Or, wow, I've got a lot of stuff scheduled today. Okay, let me look at the list and see what I can throw together that's going to be faster. So it gives me that flexibility. And then, like I said, I can move stuff. Now you're going to see too. So I've already got some scribbling going on here. That's because up here, it originally said regular tacos, and then I switched it to lentil and rice tacos. Down here, it originally said lentil and rice tacos, and I crossed it out and switched it to regular. The reason being, yesterday, we were going to have, and by regular tacos, I mean hamburger and all the regular toppings. I also make what we call taco stuff that is lentil and rice based. There's actually no meat in it, but it does have a beef bouillon base. So it's got that meat taste. It's actually really good. Our kids have had it for years. They love it. I've managed to get many people to eat it. The trick is you just don't tell people there's no meat in their tacos. And after they're like, wow, like this is really good. It's just the texture is a little different. Like, what is it? Then you tell them, they're like, wow, okay. Then you got to warn people not to eat too much because it expands. So anyhow, when I went to make this yesterday, see, I'm rabbit trailing all over the place. When I went to make it yesterday, I realized I didn't have any refried beans. I make those from scratch too. There's a video in my recipe playlist if you want to go find that. I usually do it in the Instant Pot, and then we freeze them, and I just pull out the freezer bag and throw it in with the meat. We mix that together. It extends our meat. And I mean, a lot of people put beans in their tacos anyhow, so why not? Well, I didn't have any. And that's not something that I can just whip up. That takes a little bit more time, and I didn't have time. So I thought, well, we try to have tacos once a week, so I'll just swap them because lentils and rice are something I've almost always got on hand. It's fast, it's easy, so why not? In fact, it's almost faster and easier than doing regular tacos. So I just swapped the weeks. Easy enough. The hamburger's in the freezer, so the regular tacos will just wait. In fact, today I made the refried beans. They're upstairs cooling on the counter right now so that we can have them for whatever day we're ready to do that. Okay, so that's why I've got that. It's winter, so I try to have a soup, chili, stew, something like that at least one day a week because it's comforting and, well, it's easy enough too. So, now as you can see, so the shepherd's pie, I knew was not getting done because I wrote most of this out yesterday so that I could get my grocery list for today done. So shepherd's pie has actually been moved down here, and that's because I knew I wasn't getting it done, but it's something I want to get made. I do have potatoes that are going to go bad, but they're going to last longer than those bell peppers will. So it's also why it's, it's on the list, but it's okay. We also have some Brussels sprouts in the fridge. They're going to be good for a little bit, but I need to get them used. So I've got Brussels sprouts and quinoa with bacon on one day. Yes, guys, we have kids that have open taste buds to a lot of things. One of our kids doesn't care for quinoa. All of them love Brussels sprouts. I guess I've just done something right. I don't know what to tell you. I've had people ask how I do things. Thing is, we don't force our kids to eat anything. When the older three were super tiny, we did. I can't say we forced them to eat it, but it was a eat it or go hungry kind of situation. When one of our children was diagnosed with severe sensory processing, that no longer worked. So now what we do is we offer everything to everybody all the time. They're not allowed to say a disparaging word at the table because as soon as one child says, ew, or I don't like that, guess what? All the other kids are going to say it too, even if they're in the middle of eating it. So they're not allowed to say anything negative. And then we go ahead and we move forward with the meal. It's amazing how many times after sitting there and watching everybody else enjoy it, a kid will get curious enough, they'll take a little taste of something. Now, half the time at that meal, they're not going to admit that they liked it. Sometimes they do. Usually it's the next meal, they're like, well, I'll try it, remembering that they liked it last time. So that's kind of what we do. We let them try it at their own pace. And if they don't like what I made, they have to wait till everybody else is done eating. And then they can ask for a sandwich. And that's what they get, a sandwich, a basic one at that. But nobody goes hungry in our house. And that, I do truly believe, is what has built this love for food in our house. Because remember, I said we started with a child with severe sensory needs, which is why we had to start doing something as an alternative as far as offering a sandwich or something else, because she couldn't handle the textures of a lot of foods, the textures, the smells. Yeah, it was just too much. That same child will devour all of those Brussels sprouts, loves hummus. She is the one that doesn't care for quinoa, though. You know what? If that's where she draws the line, then so be it. Okay, now that I've rabbit trailed on there too long. So I've got that on there, and I've also got the jambalaya. So if you're watching this, I'm hoping you've already seen our grocery haul that I did put up here on Monday. Technically, when I'm recording this, I did that grocery haul earlier today. And now I wanted to walk you through how I figure out my grocery list to help keep our budget down. So first of all, what I do, our grocery budget includes not just food, but a lot of our paper and household products and things around the house. So I did not bring my grocery list down with, because I don't have much written on it yet. I just got groceries today. But we use one of those notepads that's magnetic and hangs on the fridge. And I write stuff on there weeks ahead of time. So for example, one of the kids were like, why do you have dish tabs on here for like 2 pages down? Well, guess what? Because I know how many dish tabs on average we use. I happen to look under the sink and see how many were left. And I know that we're going to need them by that week. So I put it on there. I do the same thing with laundry detergent and some of that. When I know about how far we can get through with what we've got, then I write it on the next page. So that is what I start with. Then I go ahead and I write down our every week given items. I know I'm going to get the 2-pack of fryer chickens every week without fail, unless we're going to be busy or gone. So like Christmas week, I actually don't know if I'm going to buy those on Christmas week, because in fact, I'm going to have to talk to Sean and see his thoughts on it. I just don't know if we're going to have a need for it. There's going to be enough other stuff going on, and holiday food, even if we're doing burgers, it's going to be a ton of food. So I break down like that. Bananas and grapes seem to be every week. Apples are as we run out of them. Sometimes it's every week, sometimes it's every other. So that I wait and see where we're at right before I go shopping. Actually, I think those are our biggest. Well, that typically almond milk and regular milk. But even those, I've had to step back and wait until I write them on the list to get them, because we actually ended up with extra of both for a little while here this last month, because I didn't realize how much we had out in the garage fridge. We've got an extra refrigerator that's out in our garage, sits next to our deep freeze that I keep stuff in. I didn't realize how much was out there. So, okay, so I'm going to pull this up here. I'm going to go over this week here because that's the one I just went shopping for, so I can explain how I did everything. So the regular tacos, I already knew that I had everything I needed, except the refried beans, which I already had the stuff to make. I just had to get them made. So that's already now covered. The cheeseburger soup. Okay. Sorry, I have to keep turning it, guys. It's actually backwards on the camera, so I can't read it. Cheeseburger soup. That's something I keep everything on hand. The only thing I don't have is diced tomatoes, because I typically buy those when we make a Costco run or a Costco order, and I forgot with the last order and the last run. So I don't have diced tomatoes, which will actually make one of our daughters happy because she doesn't like them anyhow. But everything else for that, I typically keep on hand, because in fact, that recipe is, again, in my recipe playlist. It primarily consists of hamburger, cream cheese, rice, stock, some onion, which I always have onions and potatoes on hand. If I see I'm getting low, I get those. It's one of those staples I keep on hand all the time. I'd have to actually double check. There's some seasoning I throw in there. But that's the basis of it. So then the shepherd's pie. Okay. Again, this is something I knew I already had the ingredients for because it was previously on the list with the potatoes. which again, we recently bought more of those, which is good because we go through, I don't know, we go through them a little bit, not super fast, but we do go through them. So I didn't have to buy anything for that today. The Brussels sprouts, quinoa with bacon. Okay. We already have the Brussels sprouts and I know I need to use them. That's why they're on the meal plan list. The quinoa with bacon, it's crumbled bacon, which we keep in our fridge. Now I do know that after that meal, I'm probably going to have to put that on my grocery list again. So if I know I've used enough of a staple item that it's getting low, then I put it on my grocery list. If I know it's something it's a staple item, but we don't use super often. So like the crumbled bacon, if I use a lot of it this week, but for next week's grocery haul, I see that, this is going to be pushing our budget. I can just make sure not to plan anything in the meal plan using that ingredient. I can cross it off and move it to the following week. So there's a little bit of play there. The jambalaya, which yes, I know I've spelled it wrong. Although if you didn't know any better, you could say that they use an A. That I don't keep the boxes on hand. The kielbasa, I like to have some on hand, but never enough. So when I went grocery shopping today, I got 2 boxes, family-sized boxes of jambalaya mix and a full package of kielbasas to cut up and throw in it. That is the stuff I got. Now, again, you should have hopefully watched that grocery haul so you know that I refilled staples. Like we get butter probably once regular butter every 1 to 2 weeks. We get that. The blended butters is something we're buying almost weekly at this point. Sean's granola is almost weekly. Snack items. I'm trying to think what else was in there. I did have almond milk and milk. And then paper goods like Micah's diapers and toilet paper and Kleenex and that kind of stuff. So that is partially how I do that. Now, when I go to do next week's, I know that the burgers and all that stuff, this is a meal that's being split between us and my parents. So I don't have to buy everything for it. I will make the list based on what we need for ourselves to bring. That's our portion. And I will put that on the grocery list if we don't already have it. Baked chicken breast. Now, I do try to have one solid meat meal, meaning we put meat in a lot of our meals, but I try to only buy one full meat item outside of the 2 chickens that we buy every week. So if I know we're about out of hamburger, well, guess what? That week I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy a big tube of hamburger. That's going to be it for the meat. If we want to do al pastor tacos, which again, recipe playlist, guys, you got to check it out. I will buy the tray of al pastor meat. For the chicken breasts, I'm going to buy a package of raw chicken breasts from Sam's Club. So I'm not going to be buying more kielbasa or hamburger or stew meat or any of that. Try to limit it to 1 a week because meat does add up. But if you buy it in bulk and then with leftovers, and guys, like the hamburger, we divide it down into 5 meals worth. So that is really, it can get us through a while. And then the chicken that we keep in the fridge, we're never short on meat. We just don't do an excess of it either. French bread pizza would be the next thing on the list. The bread is something that Sean brings home. Block cheese is something I try to always keep in the fridge. I just have to make sure that I still have some pasta sauce or marinara, pizza sauce, whatever you want to call it. And then if we want pepperonis on it, which I know we've got some in the fridge right now because I bought it for the stromboli, but if there's any left over, we'll have that too. The stew meat and potato soup or stew, that got moved down from this last week because again, I know I have all of the ingredients. They're in the freezer with the exception of the potatoes that go into it. But those I'm going to have on hand regardless. So that I don't have to buy anything for. Sloppy Joes. We keep Sloppy Joe sauce on hand that we pick up when we make our runs to Sioux Falls. The brand we like, we have not been able to find out here. It doesn't have high fructose corn syrup or anything like that in it. So we really like that. So again, I don't have to worry about buying anything for that. So the next week's grocery haul, and you have to watch it and see how close I am to it right now. But as of right now, it looks like it's going to be ingredients for the Christmas meal, the chicken breasts, probably another block or 2 of the Colby Jack cheese, because we will use 1 to 2 blocks on the pizzas. And then whatever I decide to fill in for the 6th meal. And yeah, now I do, before I go grocery shopping, I do make sure to have 6 full meals on there so that I'm solid with that. But okay, well, guess what? That is how I am working my meal plan. As we have each meal, as you can tell too, I cross it off. So you're good to go there. You know what you've already made. So you should be able to know what ingredients you have left over. Don't be afraid to eat leftovers. Just don't keep them too long. I'm kind of particular. If it's got meat in it, we keep it less. If there's no meat, we can extend it a couple days. But have an absolute limit, guys. Know how long your food is good for. Don't be afraid to freeze things either. If we've got something that we've got a ton of leftovers and we just know we're not going to get to it, I will throw it either in a freezer Ziploc bag or in a freezer safe container that I can throw it in the freezer. And then I usually try to set it up as a meal in there, kind of like buying microwave meals at the grocery store, just a homemade one. So you bring it back in, you thaw it out, microwave it, whatever you're going to do with it. And that's how we run our groceries. So if you guys have any questions about our meal plan that I may have missed or not covered, feel free to leave that in the comment section down below. If you've got any other questions about how we do our budgeting and how I'm working with the $300, again, remember too, we do live in a fairly high cost of living area when it comes to groceries. So that's part of why, as small as I can show you that our grocery list is, it can still run us up to that $300 mark pretty darn easily. So yeah, leave all of that in the comment section down below. In the meantime, I hope you guys are having a blessed day and a merry, merry, blessed holiday season as we build towards Christmas. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss everything coming up next. And I will see you in the next one.